showing way too much ankle than I intended to in this video. Isn't it weird that, like, in Finding Nemo, the fish's faces are on their front? Like, I know why they did it, so we're more, like, sympathetic with them. And that's hard to do when their eyes are on the side of their head. But how fucked would it be if fish actually looked like that? It'd be like the cat from What We Do in the Shadows. Oh, I haven't seen the new season yet. Maybe I shouldn't make this yet. Fuck it. I don't really have a preamble for this. I just want to recommend some of my favorite things from this year. I'll probably do a series of these of just like, here's all my favorite stuff. So here are my top 10 TV shows of 2023. And these are just my favorites. I'm sure there's so many seasons of TV to watch now that I watch a lot. I watch a lot of stuff. I don't feel even close to being caught up on TV. Number 10, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is an animated adaptation of the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels from, when did they come out? Wow, between 2004 and 2010 by Brian Lee O'Malley. So I've never read the graphic novels, but I absolutely love the movie because I was a teenager in 2010. And obviously I was going to love the movie. But Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is not Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It uses the same cast, produced by much the same team. I love the show because it takes what's already there and completely changes it to be something else. It's a whole new version of the same story. And it's not just the same story, just in a new format like so many adaptations are. It's a completely new story, but it's also the same story. It's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and it's Scott Pilgrim the graphic novel, but different. They give Ramona Flowers a lot more love. They give Knives Chow a lot more love. They give Gideon Graves a lot more love. Like, if I wasn't already a Scott Pilgrim fan, the thing that would have sold me on this show would be finding out that there's a skateboarding fight scene with a character voiced by Chris Evans set to Police Truck by the Dead Kennedys, which I know from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack. And it's so kinetic and vibrant, and it doesn't feel like the highest budget, smoothest animation in the world, but it's got so much character and so much life and so much vibrance that doesn't matter. It's just so chock full of personality, and the fact that they threw a Hail Mary and making this adaptation be something completely different while also honoring what came before is very, very impressive. Are they my shoes? My new shoes just came. What if this just becomes an unboxing video now? Oh my god. Don't look at this. I can break open a bag, I swear. Yeah. Look at these lads. I'm showing way too much ankle than I intended to in this video. Number 9 is in... I really don't mean this to be just a list full of animated graphic novel adaptations on a streaming service. Now, okay. Full disclosure, I haven't finished the second season yet.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But I'm still very confident in putting it on this list because so far it's just brilliant. But there's just something about it. It's a lot more sincere. It's a lot more caring. And it embraces its superhero roots while also playing with the genre it knows it's in. It doesn't overshadow the satire, and the satire doesn't overshadow the sincerity. It's a show that on the surface looks like one thing, but once you actually really get into it, the storytelling is so good, the writing is so good, the action is phenomenal, it's brutal, it's tense, it's horrific, it's hilarious, there's so much going on in it that I really can't recommend it enough. If it sticks the landing, like season 1 sticks the landing, I could see it moving up this list easily. Number 8, The Fall of the House of Usher. We have a live action. The newest entry in the Mike Flanagan verse, which if you don't know what's happening with Mike Flanagan at the moment, he's delivered a number of amazing limited series horror stories. So he's done The Haunting of Hill House, he's done Bly Manor, he's done Midnight Mass, and he's done The Midnight Club. And all 4 of those series are fantastic. It's an original story adapting pieces of Edgar Allan Poe's poems and stories and short stories and novellas into this great overarching narrative about this family falling apart from the inside out. A curse that's befallen this family because of their greed. And it's probably the scariest TV show I've seen this year. It's campy, but it's real and it's thematically rich and it's got things to say. Rahul Kohli fights a cat. It's awesome. It has a blood rave. I haven't seen a blood rave in anything since Blade. Not that that's like a scene that always needs to happen. It's nice to see, you know? Nice to see a good blood rave. And it's got the classic Mike Flanagan monologues in there. I know it can be kind of divisive, his style of writing, but I love listening to characters' monologues. He's got such a way with words. Sure, it can kind of be on the nose storytelling in terms of a character articulating their views on something, but I don't know, it feels different. It feels stylish, and I can't help but respect it. So if you like Midnight Mass, follow House of Usher. If you like Haunting of Hill House, follow the House of Usher. If you're just craving any kind of horror TV show, it's the one. If you want something that harkens back to American Horror Story in its heyday, like when it was like great, follow the House of Usher is probably better though. I'm not a fan of Ryan Murphy at the moment. I'm pretty conscious about saying negative things kind of publicly in videos like this. I only really want to talk about things I love in these kinds of videos. I don't feel too bad about shitting on Ryan Murphy after the whole writer's strike debacle. He can cop it this year. He deserves a bit of a slap this year. Number 7, jury duty. Jury. Should I put that poo graphic back in? Duty. Jury duty. So part reality show, part kind of scripted narrative. You must have heard about jury duty by now. So if you haven't seen the show or don't know about the show, it's a show about this jury sitting in on this case that just follows them for the duration of the case. But everyone in the jury except one person is an actor, and the whole thing is fake, and they're all in on the joke except for him. Everyone else is just playing these absurd, brilliant characters. James Marsden's in it. James Marsden just got nominated for a fucking Emmy for it.
Sorry, jump scare.
It might be a Golden Globe, but it's probably an Emmy. I can't be bothered looking it up. That's right, I know my phone's right there, but I'm not gonna look it up. James Marsden got nominated for an Emmy, in my mind. Like, it's such a great concept. It's very Nathan Fielder, but in a much more, it's not that. It's not that absurd yet. It's just a really simple, really fun comedy. The show sticks the landing not just because the premise is so good, but because the guy they pick is just the loveliest human being in the world. This could have backfired so badly. And there's just this inner sense of dread when you're watching it of like, oh, how's he gonna take it when he finds out? And I think that propels the show forward, but they stick the landing really, really well. They deliver on something that's kind and joyful and hopeful and ridiculous. It's a really nice show. Number 6, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang is fucking back. My boys are back.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town.
So,
This is probably the best selection of episodes they've had in a few seasons. I am one of the people who fully believes that this show doesn't have a single bad season. The previous couple seasons have had big swings and then some kind of normal episodes. So it's kind of had this ebb and flow, these hills and valleys throughout the seasons, which, like, totally valid. I think they're still great seasons. There's something a little special when Sunny is like consistent. Every episode is banger after banger after banger. I've never related to Dennis Reynolds more than in his mental health day episode. I'm literally getting stressed thinking about it now. I think I've watched that clip of him punching the strength test machine and stifling his scream maybe 1,000 times this year.
Broken every single bone in my hand. I'm going to scream now because I can't hold it in, so here we go.
It's just such a good, consistent season of TV from some of the best comedy writers in the game, and every year they just prove time and time again just why they are the best. Number 5, Scavenger's Reign. So I didn't know anything about this before going into it. I just saw like the kind of poster image and that it was weird as hell, and just to try it. And so I did, and it's weird as hell. It's so cool. So Scavenger's Reign is an animated sci-fi about these scavengers. These essentially like space truckers who get stuck on this mysterious planet and have to survive. And that's all I want to say. That's the basic premise. That's all you need to know. Go and watch it. It's so worth it. It's a sci-fi show where the science in science fiction is biology. And I haven't really seen that before. Say in something like Cyberpunk where they're, augmenting body parts, like they're splicing mechanical things into biology, but I've never seen a sci-fi show where nature and the planet and the world feels like the futuristic science fiction technology. Oh man, that shot in the first episode, I think is the first episode where like that person has breathed in the spores and you see the head kind of move like it's a hot air balloon shape. And it's just his faces colliding into each other. It's one of the most beautiful shows I've ever seen, and it's so gross. The little animals they put their fist in so they can use as balloons. The voice acting is interesting, because the voice acting is very naturalistic. The dialogue feels so real, and so the characters feel so real, and so the world becomes more tangible as a result of it. Such a great decision. With all the stumbles and breaths and half words, and some lines feel like improv, which I feel like doesn't happen in animation. It really is something different, and I wasn't expecting it. It's probably one of the biggest surprises this year, for sure. Number 4, Siren survived the island.
Where calm.
Forget what I said, this is the biggest surprise of the year. One of my favorite shows of the year is a reality show. It's so good. It's a reality show similar to Survivor, where there's these different teams on an island in their different camps, and they're competing against each other to be the last team standing. But all the contestants are women, and all the contestants are teams of like very physical professions. Like there's stunt performers, there's firefighters, there's people from the military, there's cops, there's athletes. I think I've got them all. Is that all of them? Oh, and there's bodyguards. It's like the best version of Survivor that can exist. You know, they have their Survivor-like challenges, like their tests of strength, or they have to dig a hole in a certain period of time. Classic reality TV competition stuff. But then once a day, they have to physically fight each other and take over another person's base. And whoever loses their base goes home. And so you have all these different groups teaming up and figuring out what skill set each other has based on their profession. And you see how different professions tackle different challenges, like how the stunt people just start tying ropes and actually turning their camp and their base into this well-rigged jungle gym. And they use their like tying and rigging skills to hide their flag that needs to be taken. In military and firefighters just straight up to start breaking shit. And they fight, like they're not allowed to like throw punches or anything, they have to be going for the flag. But these guys, oh my god, they throw each other down the stairs, they're full on tackling each other, they're smashing in windows. It's really intense. Probably one of the best reality shows, if not the best reality show I've ever seen. I don't think it nearly got enough love. It was on the homepage of Netflix for a while, which is where I saw it, but looking online, people aren't talking about this show enough, and they should be talking about this show like it's the hottest thing in the world. It's so fucking cool. Also, they could not do this show with men, because men are fucking idiots and we just kill each other. It would get way too violent and way too brutal, and the whole point of the game would go away. Men are too emotional to be on this show. Okay, number 3, The Last of Us. I was so scared for The Last of Us. I knew it was going to be good. And I was just really worried that it wouldn't justify itself. Something I think adaptations have to do is justify their existence, which is a hard thing for a writer to have to tackle. If this story already exists in another format, why does it have to exist in this one? And that's a really, really hard challenge. And I think Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann really proved why this deserves to exist. It's not just the same story in another format. They take liberties with the source material and they deliver something that feels just as special, but for a whole new audience. This isn't going to replace The Last of Us, but it's this brilliant partner piece to it. It's another version of it. In the format of the game, you have to have these big combat sections, these big stealth sections, because you're playing an interactive story. There has to be a constant cycle of tension and action and player involvement to propel the story forward. But in a TV show, you don't have that. So how do you deliver the same story that is stretched out over like 16 to 20 hours and do it in, what, 10, while also not just having action for the sake of having action? If the audience isn't engaging in it, if they're not the ones doing the action to propel the story along, they're just watching action scenes for the sake of having action scenes. And I love that this show didn't do that. Could have very easily done that, but it instead takes the source material and shows you other angles. Famous example is the Bill and Frank episode. Like that story, it's implied that has already happened in The Last of Us, but you don't see any of it. And of course they do change the ending of it. The purpose of Bill as a character in Joel and Ellie's story stays the same in both the game and the TV show. And yet the way we see Bill and the way we tell Bill's story is completely different, and the events are completely different. And that's a very, very, very impressive thing to have done. Very impressive, brilliant, emotionally gripping show. Regardless of what came before, it can exist in a bubble separate of the game and deliver the same level of emotion and feeling and engagement that the game did. So happy they did it. I'm very excited for season 2, and if everyone could just be chill about whoever they cast as Abby and just leave her alone, that would be awesome. Because holy shit, when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, people lost their goddamn minds. Everyone behave for season 2, please. Coming to the 2 big dogs. Number 2 really relies on a longer format and the build-up of a TV show. Number 2, Succession. From what I saw, at least from my perspective, the biggest TV event of this year was season 4 of Succession. It felt like the final season of Game of Thrones.
Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Succession is such a brilliant show. I genuinely cannot fathom how mammoth of a task it must be to make this show. How good the writing is and how natural the show feels. If I'm remembering right, they shoot this multicam, so they will have entire takes where a camera is just sitting on an actor who might not have any lines in a scene. But it means we get these brilliant moments of tension coming from someone's eyes doing that. And that's it. Such great directing, and that's such great writing, and that's such a brilliant technique that I feel like it's a total wasted opportunity in multicam that most TV shows just don't do. You're seeing so many perspectives all the time. Why not cut to them? Why not cut to the little moments of someone's performance? It's just such a ballsy show, and Connor's wedding is one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen in my life. Such a brilliant gut punch, and so ballsy to have that be the whole episode, for us to just sit in it and for us to just feel it. Feel this thing that we know has been coming for years at this point, and to finally feel it, and it feels wrong, and it feels like a mistake, and it feels like it shouldn't be happening yet. We've been told from the very first episode that this is what the show is leading to, and it still feels unexpected. That is brilliantly using the long format. Few other shows I've seen in recent years use the longer format like Succession has done. But then after Connor's wedding, you still got all these brilliant episodes. It's not like the show just kind of peaks at that one big climactic point. Then we've got everyone having to deal with it afterwards. The election episode made me want to rip my hair out. The final episode is the best ending you could give this show. It is probably the most impressive show of the year. Okay, this is the one. So this show is in its 2nd season. It's only been running for 2 years, and it's 2 for 2 on being my favorite show of the year. The Bear is remarkable.
Your shirt says original birth.
Yeah, it's a pretty mistake. Collector's item.
One of the most sincere TV shows I've ever seen. So full of heart. It's so goddamn funny. It's as funny as some of the best comedies of the year. It's as tense as some of the best thrillers of the year. It just makes me really feel alive. I don't know how to express how good this show makes me feel. And it's a sad show. It's a really sad show. And it can be a really stressful show. Like the Christmas episode, that's the best Christmas movie ever made. The scene in the freezer breaks my heart. I'm not a Swiftie, but when he's singing Love Story, fills me up. This show fills me up with so much joy, and I feel so satisfied. And similar to Succession, where it feels like you know these people and it feels like you're getting odd perspectives, and a look can say so much about the character you're watching, that it makes you feel like you're in the room watching the characters, not through a camera or through your TV, but across the table from them. The Bear does that in a very different way. It makes you feel like you're part of the family, which may not be the best thing, but it brings you into their world and it brings you into what they're feeling so well. Did I mention I'm an empath? I feel like I'm gonna cry talking about this show. Like it's so life-affirming, despite what the subject matter sometimes entails. It feels life-affirming in that it feels real, with all the bad, all the grime, all the uncomfortable, all the stress of family, all the stress of relationships, all the stress of running a business. It doesn't fill you up with hope and joy in the same way that like there's something kind of corny will, where it swells with the right music at the right time and you feel that kind of lovely rom-com feeling. It doesn't do that. It never takes away from what these characters are going through. Even when they're happy, you still see underneath what's going on. And I mean that in a positive. Like happiness and sadness do not exist separate of each other. They work together. And you can be watching a sad scene and still feel so happy to be alive. And that's what The Bear does. Even if it continues for like 3 more seasons and falls off, which I don't think it will. Like, I think this team is too consistent. This team is too... They've tapped into something so well and so accurate that I don't know how they fall off, but it could happen. Even if it does, these first 2 seasons are so special that I see this show being one of my favorites forever. So yeah, there's some of my favorite TV shows this year. Again, I'm just kind of making these for fun as like a video journal because it's nice and I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy ranting and venting about the things I love. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'd love you to message me or comment and let me know what your favorites of this year are. I really want to hear it. I really do want to hear it. Thanks, guys.